Hey folks, Ariel over here at Nyth. Today I want to talk about a question that I have heard a lot over the years since I've lived here, and that is, what is the whole point of a tiny house? Now, for a bit of background on who am I to have an opinion on this topic, in case this is your first video here, I'm Ariel. This is my tiny house, Nyth, where I have lived off-grid, as in no physical connection to public utilities in the Western Mountains, and I'm in my 4th year of life here. So I have a little bit of experience with a tiny house personally. And this is a question that I get asked a lot. If you're interested in many more details on my house, go back. I've got hundreds of other videos on all kinds of topics on this channel, and blog, and lots of photos and all of that. So if you're interested in the tiny house itself, check all that out and you can see what mine is like. But as for the actual question, what's the whole point of a tiny house? This answer is going to be obviously from my personal perspective, but I think that there is no single point of a tiny house. In many ways, it is a dwelling where you can live, be inside, sheltered from the elements, have some personal space, privacy, keep your stuff warm or dry or cool or whatever you're trying to do. And that's what it is. The same as any other kind of house, whether we're talking mansion or teepee or, you know, anything in between. And then, that said, you know, the main point, like any other dwelling, is to have an indoor space that's comfortable and protected of some kind. I think from there, people have many points to having a tiny house. And so this can be very personal. For me, the point initially was to be able to continue living in an area where I wanted to stay and there was not other housing available. And over the years, it's evolved for me into being more about being free to do other things that I want to do as I go forward. But I also have friends for whom the main point is being able to travel a lot and have a comfortable dwelling with them. I have friends for whom the main point is to have expenses very low, sometimes simply to get out of debt or save up money so that they can then build a bigger house or do something else they care about. For some people, it's about being able to have the ability to have some privacy but be close to another family member or friend or somebody who's needing somebody to take care of them but still have their own space where you can park beside a bigger house and be there and be available to help somebody but not be, you know, living right in each other's spaces. There's a whole host of, I've got friends whose point is to be able to have reduced bills so they can stay home full-time, both parents, you know, with their children and raise them and travel with them and homeschool them and enjoy spending time with them as they're growing. So there's just a whole lot of different points for different people. I don't think any one of those is the main point or right or wrong. When you've been doing this for a little bit and blogging and making videos and such, you'll find that lots of people have very strong opinions about this topic. I've been told everything from that my place is awesome and amazing and people are jealous and would like it, to one lady who commented that she would shoot herself in the head if she lived in a place that was as cluttery and crowded as mine, to somebody who said that no amount of money could possibly be worth being shoved into a little shoehorn box like that, to people who debate the value of buying something that may depreciate more like a vehicle versus buying land. There's trade-offs there and there's pros and cons. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on that topic, go look up my tiny house loan video on my reasoning on why this works well for me and maybe for you, depending on your situation. But there's just a whole list of reasons. Some people's point is they want to be minimalistic and have as little of a impact or footprint on the world around them as possible. So there's just a huge host of different reasons. I don't think any one of them is right or wrong. So there's many points to a house. It's something that, like most other housing situations, be it living in an apartment or living in a condo or townhome or living in a farmhouse in the middle of a big acreage, there are different options that work well for different people at different times for different reasons. And I think a tiny house is simply in that category as well. I don't think it's the perfect thing for everybody all the time or anything like that, but I think it is a really good option for some people some of the time. And for me personally, it's been really good for me. And that kind of brings me to a little bit why I do this channel. My goal is not to be the biggest YouTube channel out there, have the most subscribers or the most followers. I originally started with the blog just to share information and help other people learn things maybe a little easier if I had to learn them the hard way. And that's still my main goal, to help share information. If people like it and more people watch and share and comment and it grows, that's terrific. It gives me the freedom to put more time into doing it. If not that many people are interested, that's fine. I'll do it part-time and do other things some of the time. So I don't have any big attachment there one way or the other. But kind of my goal is to be not out there saying everyone should live in a tiny house or anything like that, but I want to be, I guess, maybe like a gateway drug to a different world than the way a lot of, at least fellow Americans, are living right now. I don't want to get everyone into the same situation I am in, but if I can encourage you to rethink out how much space do you actually need for the things you actually do. And I know some people have hobbies or businesses that require large shops with lots of space, or indoor hobbies where they need more space, or if you're a concert pianist and you need a baby grand piano to practice on, probably a house this size isn't going to work for you. But if I can encourage people to think out what amount of space they do actually need and not just mindlessly buy a bigger house because they could get a bigger loan, then that is awesome. That's what I want to do. Or in gardening, maybe I can't encourage somebody else to have a huge garden like mine and spend that much time on it, but if I can encourage somebody to get a little bit more involved in their own food and what's going into their own body wherever they are, whether that's growing a couple things in a little tiny patch, or growing some sprouts indoors, or just being more aware of where their food comes from when they're buying it from somebody else who's growing it for them, then I think that's wonderful. You can just do whatever you can wherever you are. If not everybody goes off-grid with my kind of setup, that's perfectly fine. If I can encourage you, though, to maybe rethink careless electrical use, unplug appliances that you're not using, not just mindlessly have your bedroom full of lots of lights and electronics that are affecting your sleep and such, and just to think about those things a little more, then that's success. If I can encourage somebody to start cooking one meal every now and then who's never cooked, or inspire somebody who cooks all the time to try something new or a different veggie they've never tried, then that's success. So my goal is not at all to make a definitive, this is the channel for how everyone ought to live, or how everyone in a tiny house ought to live, or anything like that. I just want to share what I do, what works for me, what I learn, the pros and cons, and help you guys to learn from that, so you can see the results of some things and maybe save yourself some trouble along the way, and maybe think about things that a lot of people haven't taken the time to sit down and think about. What are their goals? What are their priorities? Is maintaining and paying for this amount of space helping them with their priorities, or actually taking away from being able to do the things they want? And so on. So that's kind of my point of sharing my tiny house life. And fits into the fact that I don't think there is any one point of having a tiny house. There's many reasons that can work well for many people, and many reasons that it's not the perfect thing for everybody. So that's just my thoughts on that general question. Hopefully it gives you guys some things to think about, and kind of explains why I do what I do and where I'm coming from. Like I said, if you want to know more about this house that I'm actually in, there's tons of other info on my channel and blog. Check out the Show More tab down below and explore. Thanks for watching, folks. If you're interested in more info on my off-grid tiny house life, check out some of my other videos here. And if you like what you're seeing, click the little picture of my house to subscribe, and then hit the little bell so YouTube actually notifies you every time there's a new video available. See y'all next time.